While searching the library for forgotten and arguably useless knowledge in the Elder Scrolls universe, I've stumbled across a whole category of lore that I haven't seen anybody talk about yet, to my knowledge. So, take that with a grain of salt. It turns out, almost every known race in the Elder Scrolls universe has a complex menu of cuisine that caters to the land they live on and the needs that their individual diets demand. And also just some stuff they make to either have a fun night drinking with the boys or stuff their face with junk food. We're not so different after all. In a land full of bloodshed and rabbit holes full of lore, this will be a 6-part series that takes a dive into the sweeter side of Nirn. And this is Elder Scrolls Food Lore Part 1. So to start this video off, I feel like I gotta say this. There is a lot of food that each race in the Elder Scrolls has to offer. Like, there literally just had to be a food developer that his whole job was just coming up with food lore while everyone else was doing the more important stuff. And if I tried to discuss every single food I could find in one video for every race, this would take months to make and probably be at least a couple hours long. So in each part of this 6-part series, we're gonna cover 2 races per video, starting with this one. And something else that's gonna be common in this series is that most of these foods are just written in lore and don't have any pictures or physical representations to show you what the food looks like. Now it's time to pick the first 2 races that we're gonna be talking about in this video. I didn't want to choose them myself because I felt like that was gonna be kind of boring, so I gave ChatGPT a list of all the options and asked it to pick 2 based on which ones sound like they make the best food. And to start this series off, ChatGPT picked Breton and Khajiit cuisine, baby. And as you can see here, it even listed its reasoning as to why it chose them. But wait, there's more. Then I asked which one I should start with, and not only did it pick Khajiit, it explained why it made the choice and even listed some of the foods they've made before I even started digging into the lore. This is not a real person. This is technology. The future is terrifying. Can I just go back to a time where you'd catch a fatal disease for getting a splinter? No? Okay, well, let's talk about Khajiit food then. So starting off, the Khajiit are known for having a sweet tooth, and while they have some very intricate dishes made with love and labor, many of the nomadic Khajiit clans just cook their food over a campfire, so it's kind of up to whatever life a Khajiit lives that decides how hard they work for the perfect bite. Now before we start listing off the known foods of the Khajiit kitchen, I want to take a closer look at one of their spices that they use in almost everything, and you probably guessed it, moon sugar. This powder that is known to be addictive and is often described as a drug among the Empire is extremely important to our feline friends. Not only that, the love that the Khajiit have for moon sugar is more than just a little spice on their midnight snack. Besides being used as a spice and an ingredient in alchemy, it's known for being used in some religious ceremonies in which the Khajiit honor their gods. It's believed among them that moon sugar is actually crystallized moonlight caught in the waters of the Topal Sea and infused with sugarcane by the unstoppable force of the ocean. And in my research on this topic, I actually did find a description of one of these moon sugar based eating rituals that the Khajiit would perform before eating with guests, and of course I gotta share it, so here we go. In this ritual, the server brings a platter of round cakes, a stack of cloths, and a pitcher of golden liquid to the table. From here they lay a cloth down at the table at each participant's spot and place one of these cakes upon it. They then sprinkle the cake with moon sugar and finally let exactly 4 drops of this unknown gold liquid drip onto the dusted cake. And this is repeated for every participant in the ritual. Once everyone's cake is prepared, everybody introduces themselves. So everyone introduces themselves, and when the last person's name is given, the Khajiit first lick their cakes and then eat them. Non-Khajiit can simply touch the cake to their mouth without eating it because the cake contains moon sugar if you don't like partying. This is because touching the cake to one's mouth satisfies the spirit of the ceremony. And those who perform this ritual with the Khajiit are considered friends, but only for the time being. They may offer the stranger protection for the day that the cake ritual was performed, but the next time they meet, they have no obligation to friendship. Now that we got that out of the way, let's run through their food options, and I will add pictures as they're available, but just keep in mind, there's not a lot. I'm just trying to make it work, so let's just get into the baked goods. So for the baked goods, we've got banana bread. That one's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure we've all had that. A beef pastry, which is a small pie filled with beef and other ingredients. In the city of Riverhold specifically, the locals are known for using a filling of beef, tomato, and radish. They've got meat pies, fish cakes that are said to pair well with Topal Bay seasoning. I couldn't find any lore on that. I'm just guessing it's probably like the Khajiit version of Old Bay. Sweet cakes that are fried in a skillet. They got raisin cookies and a moon sugar heavy pastry made with flour, honey, and corn known as sugar claws, which are enjoyed during the New Life Festival, which is a festival that once was in celebration of the sun god Magnus that over time has essentially changed into celebrating the birth of a new year and the death of the old year. And with that, we're already moving on to desserts. All right, we're moving into the moon sugar heavy dishes now, baby. Get ready to tweak the fuck out. We got pudding that is often spiced with moon sugar, honey pudding that was introduced to Skyrim at one point where moon sugar was slowly faded out of the recipe, although the Khajiit still use it, obviously. Moon candy, which is described as a delectable sweet made from moon sugar. Sweet ganuchi, which is a flour and potato dumpling sweetened with grapes. And finally, the all-powerful sweet roll. But in this case, the Khajiit actually used moon sugar to make the icing, so now they're chemically addictive instead of just deliciously addictive. Now let's go to fruits and vegetables. For fruits and veggies, we've got a rice dish that incorporates banana, known as a banana pilaf or pilaf. Bananas served in a moon sugar syrup. Carrots in a moon sugar glaze that can often be found cooking over campfires in Khajiit trading camps. Fried corn fritters, a sweet and savory garlic apple jelly. Steamed millet couscous with carrots. I googled what couscous is because I've heard that word a lot over the years and I still don't really understand what it is, so I'm probably just uncultured. Next up, we finally got a fun name here. Spanakopita, which is a savory pie filled with spinach and cheese. Sometimes apples are also added to this recipe. And stop the presses. It's finally time. We finally got a picture for one of these amazing dishes. It's just root vegetables. There they are. Those are root vegetables. Oh wait, we're getting spoiled actually. Apparently we also have a picture for hearty noodles and rice. And with that, let's move on to meat and animal products. Starting off, we've got banana bunny hash, which is a hash made from bananas and rabbit meat. Candied mammoth tail that is known to be served swimming in an alcoholic drink known as sparkle syrup. There will be more on that later. Corned beef that has been cured with salt, specifically in Corinth. I hope I'm saying that name right. Bananas and corn are used in the process. Curried fish and rice, often served in the port of Senchal. We've got Ellesworth fondue. Although it is a savory dish, the Khajiit can't help but just sprinkle some moon sugar in that one as well. Lizard innards that are made as crunchy little nuggets and are supposed to be eaten by the handful. Lizards can also be cooked into a stew. Sweet glazed fish bits tossed with moon sugar and stir-fried to a crisp. Sweet stuffed duck filled with a sweet stuffing of banana and cheese. All right, so first of all, for this next one, look at this creature. This is a kagouti. Who looked at this thing and said, yeah, let's try to eat it? But yeah, anyway, roasted kagouti. It is also served with apples and millet. All right, so now all we got left is drinks, and I'm pretty sure Khajiit have the most extensive menu out of all of them, so we started off a little strong, but let's just keep the ball rolling. For drinks, we have a light barley agony paled... What? Light barley agony pale ale brewed with lotus flowers and yerba mate. Also, yerba mate kind of shocked me when I saw that word in this lore because I always think of that guy on YouTube who sounds like Mr. Robot.
This is one of the best yerba mate brands from Argentina. It was a Mate Selección Especial.
How do we know if we're in control?
Going forward, just expect me to possibly be butchering some of these names, by the way. Anakinna Stout, which is a barley stout beer brewed with bittergreen and lemon. Cane Mead, which is a common alcoholic beverage in elsewhere. Tomberry Cordial, there wasn't much to describe this one, so it could be anything. Use your imagination. Dancer Tonic, made from jasmine and yerba mate. Is also clarified with isinglass and is popular in Senchal. Dark Moon's spiced whiskey that burns on the way down to your belly. And unlike most Khajiit food and drink, spiced whiskey is actually not sweet. Various fermented syrups, sometimes served in a dram glass. They've also got honey rum. Penarthi's Wings chai tea, made from jasmine leaves and often sweetened with honey. Mint tea, which is often also sweetened with honey. They've got moon sugar rum, because you had to do that one. A strong sour wheat beer brewed with lemon, known as sour bock. Sparkle syrup, which is an alcoholic drink known to be served in jugs and used for cooking, like with the candied mammoth tail. Listen to this one though. Iced milk warmed over a fire with spices and moon sugar, and this one's usually drank right before bed. I want to fucking try that one. That sounds like pure love. Then we've got sweetened condensed milk, which is often served as an after dinner refreshment. And finally, the last one leaves off with a bang because it has a tiny bit of lore attached to it. The final drink is known as Time Storm. It's named after a historical event, but I couldn't specifically find any info on that one. It's claimed that Time Storm wipes the memory of anyone who drinks it, and the more they consume, the more time is lost. Surviving descriptions of this drink say the flavor was as smooth as well-groomed fur that then blasts the moisture from your mouth like the desert sands. And with that, we're done. And we're moving on to the Bretons. Get ready. There's a lot.
And Coop has delivered undercooked salmon.
The Bretons are known to be among the best in Tamriel when it comes to food, with many of the most decorated chefs in the land being of Breton descent. And with High Rock's fertile soil and forgiving weather, the Bretons have had plenty of time to perfect the art of growing and preparing food and drink for all of Tamriel to enjoy. One of the most notable chefs of Breton heritage is a man known as Donalon, along with many other nicknames like the Wizard of Whisking, the Prince of Pastry, and the Patron of Pies. Known for his legendary skills in the bakery, he has served royalty from nobles all the way to Daedric princes. However, regardless of their status in the mortal realm, one of his customers may have to wait for years just to taste his most renowned creation, the Jubilee cake. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's start digging into the baked goods that the Bretons have to offer. So to start off our menu, we have comewort with a B, which is a type of flatbread. The Bretons are also known to make crepes. The city of Wayrest in particular is noted for this. They've got fish biscuits and various fruit pastries. Sunlight souffle that for some reason has a recipe listed with it alongside a picture of a real life souffle, but the picture looks like someone took a picture of their computer screen. I don't know. Next up is cheese, but I'm not going to do a whole title card for that one because all they have is goat cheese, which comes from the Stormhaven region and is prized for its moistness and how moist and wet the cheese is. How's that food you're eating right now after I said that? And again, next up is desserts, but there's only 3, so we're just gonna dart through those real quick as well. First, we've got honey cakes with clotted cream and pearled white chocolate. Something about the word clotted just kind of spoils my appetite. Either way, one of these cakes apparently caused a banquet hall to break into applause when it was introduced by the court chef in 2E455. I guess it's pretty good. And then all that's left for desserts is strawberry tarts and sugar fritters, which are known to be eaten alongside a drink of Kolekova ice. There'll be more on that drink later, but for now we're getting into the fruits and veggies. For fruit, the Bretons have apples. That's pretty much the only normal one. Next up is Bataglir, which is a weed that is used in a lot of Breton dishes. Singing tubers, which are a violet-streaked hybrid of leek, carrot, and nirnroot that was invented by druids. It's known to be thinly sliced into salads with shallots and a moon sugar vinaigrette. And volcanic reaper peppers that are native only to the island of Galen. These peppers are described as being hotter than dragon's breath and equally as hard to find. This is because they grow in ashes warmed by fresh lava flows, and just being near one of these peppers is enough to make your eyes water. Now it's meat and fish time, baby. To start off, we've got the Alakare Festival sword pies. We're lucky enough to actually have some sort of picture with this one. These hearty meat pies are enjoyed during the New Life Festival. They're also known to be served with a miniature bone sword cooked inside, and recovering the sword from inside the pie is said to grant the luck of Magnus. Apple baked fish, which is a staple in taverns across High Rock. A uniquely named dish in which potatoes and cabbage are separately cooked and then fried together, known as bubble and squeak. Then we've got Bruit, which is a beef roast prepared in wine and spices and served for many Breton holidays. Then we've got capone or capon, which from what it says, I think it's a fish because it's eaten either stuffed or grilled, and it's also used in noodle soup. Flank steak, which can be eaten on its own or used in other dishes such as flank pie. Grilled sweet and sour sea adder, which is typically seen on a noble's table. Okay, so real quick, this next food is cooked hadalid, but just look at this creature. This is a hadalid. It looks like a fucking Halo alien. Where do Bretons find the balls to just cook and eat things that look like they could dominate the whole humanoid race? Either way, they just skewer and char the meat of this creature over an open flame. But on a more chill note, the next one is mud crab fries, which are also typical tavern food. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's probably the one I want to try the most out of all of these. Ornog meat is next. This thing looks like it's just visiting from Pandora. They season the meat with garlic and pepper, and it's cooked over very high heat, such as a volcanic vent. And some chefs believe that this creature cannot be eaten if not prepared this way. Then we've got roasted pike, which is common among the nobility. Pork sausage, as you can guess, it's pretty common. Apparently in a place called Camlorn, they use more garlic in their recipe. River crustaceans seasoned with pepper spice, commonly served in Bangkarai and in Koglin village. I hope I didn't butcher those names. And then next up, we got a more intricate one, roasted sparkling angler mouth on a bed of kelp. I'm just gonna read the description word for word from the website because they make it sound like MasterChef. Seasoned and sauteed to perfection, this flaky and flavorful fish is served with a latticework of decadent blanched kelp to provide texture and add a hint of brightness to this dish. Breton chefs spend months learning to balance what could be an overwhelming citrus note in the kelp, but when prepared correctly, this dish never disappoints. Finally, some good fucking food. Well, it's kind of hard to follow that one up, but next up is rock pigeons. They're commonly eaten at Breton picnics where they're grilled and deboned. Then we've got sausages and sweet brine, deemed by the Bretons as addictive and tasty. Next up, we've got a pretty sad sounding one. Sliced fox tongues. Actual tongues from foxes sliced and served at Breton feasts. You should probably feel bad for eating that one. Then we've got smoked albatross egg with caviar, which is typically served when the seas turn stormy. This dish is known to be one of the most robust options of everything the Bretons have to offer. I couldn't find any info on what an albatross is. I'm just gonna put a artistic interpretation that I just made real quick of my guess of what an albatross might be. Either way, the enormous eggs they produce are smoked for 2 days, which infuses the yolk with a smoky flavor of island applewood. Next up is sprint fish, just another common fish eaten by the Bretons. And then steamed crab. We once again have been blessed by an official photo of this, followed by steamed mussels with another picture. We are really getting spoiled right now. Dude, I'm getting so tired of these nonsense animals people are trying to eat. This is a volkesh. Looks tasty, right? Their reddish black flesh is hot enough to cook itself when harvested. A common cut of this animal used for food is ribeye steaks. And finally, to top this section off, I'm gonna set the mood and you just try your best to picture how disgusting this dish is. Finally, we end this part with Iffalon surprise. It is a sheep's bladder filled with milk that is then curdled with sacred herbs. Once the milk is curdled, the bladder is split open and the curds are stuffed with fish. The bladder is then resewn and left to ferment. The dish is ready to serve once it has fermented and taken on a strong odor. Fucking kill me.
Throw food in someone's face and you may be arrested.
All right, there's only a couple soups and stews, and after that, we're on the home stretch, so stay with me. We're almost there. Starting out, we have a Becky and halibut and vegetable soup. Then they have various chowders made from fish, clams, and shrimp. They also have comberry porridge, which is made from comberries and thickened with milled oats, and finally topped off with lumps of fresh crab meat. Next up is a soup known as 100-Year Bisque. The only info I could find on it says it's a luxurious bisque fit for a noble's table. Oxtail soup, which in the town of Shornhelm, it is made with carrots and millet. Next is potage le magnifique, which is a thick, hearty Breton soup that pairs well with toasted bread and cheese. And finally, seafood gumbo. There's no specific instructions or descriptions of this one. Just grab some seafood and make a gumbo. Let's move on to drinks.
I am not fucking drunk.
Wake up, the house is on fire. That might have seemed stupid, but I know there's at least one person who will never fall asleep when Papa Time Bomb is talking about food ever again. Now let's talk about alcohol. The bar is open and here are the options. Albatross Cabernet, which is a rich wine whose creation earned Sir Ludovic Gamache his knighthood among the Order of the Albatross, and aspiring knights are still known to carry a wineskin of it on their adventures. Ash White, which is essentially a moonshine distilled from naturally smoked grains that is aged in lava toasted barrels and is known for its rich, dark, and smoky. I just got a text and it ruined that take. Fuck me. It's rich, dark, and smoky taste. Bitters are also common among the Bretons, though the preparation of it may vary from barley to medicinal and aromatic herbs. What the fuck is going on with me today? Various brandies are distilled by the Bretons. The city of Wayrest is known for its brandy in particular. Kalekova Ice is an iced wine that is often drunk alongside desserts like the sugar fritters that I had mentioned earlier. Dufort Singular Amber is a rare wine that tastes like peaches, cherries, teas, and honey. However, with these flavors, the drink itself is not sweet. Make that make sense. Four Apple Mead, which is a common mead flavored with various fruits and berries, particularly ones made by druids. Kelp Mead, which is known to be hard to come by and is described to be delicious. Leader's Rise Rose, which is a blend of red wines that was invented in collaboration of the noble houses Mornard and Dufort. It is described as a warm wine well suited for the summer months. Mint Tea, made from steeping mint leaves in hot water. This one's kind of wild. Mite Ale, which is an ale that living mites are added to. For some unknown reason, this is an addition that some people will pay extra for. Mornard Red is another one of many red wines served in High Rock. Sea Salt Tea, which is often used as a palate cleanser between meals using a combination of island leaves and sea salt. Spicy Wireless Wine, which is produced from the juice of Sorelli grapes that are fermented with ginkgo bark and ginger root. Look, I love the Elder Scrolls universe and all that. I live for this shit. But sometimes I feel like I'm just saying nonsense. Something about saying ginkgo bark just kind of struck a chord with me. Steadfast Chardonnay is a golden sipping wine with a balanced taste, served at multiple inns due to its popularity. Sweet Brown Ale, which is a barley ale sweetened with acai berries and blended with metheglin. And finally, Tawny Port, a brown and orange colored beer flavored with roses and lemon. And only now that the video is over, I just realized my strings have been dingle-dangling this whole time. I am so professional! Okay, so holy shit. There is a lot more food and drink than I thought there would be. I was originally gonna do 3 races per video for a 4-part series, but by the time I finished the Khajiit part, I realized that was gonna be a lot for one video. But if you're still here and awake, give me a
Tony Robbins hungry
in the comments so I know you made it this far. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, please consider sharing some love however you feel necessary by liking, subscribing, or maybe even sharing it with a friend. Tell someone you love them, watch the skies, and I will see all you guys in the next video.